What's up, Valley Creek students? We've been talking about some of our prayers for us. And this weekend we said that one of those prayers for us is that we would love each other as Jesus loved us. And if in this season you felt unseen, unloved, unnoticed, let this be a fresh perspective about love for you. See, in John 13:34, Jesus rolls out this idea about love. Everybody say love. Jesus says, "A new command I give you, love one another as I have loved you, so you must love one another." They already knew the old commandment to love God and to love others, but Jesus was introducing a new standard of love, one that meant laying down your life, one that meant living with an endless supply of grace, being willing to be taken advantage of, giving those around you what they need even when you don't feel like it, forgiving your friend, serving your parents, being kind to the person who talks bad about you, because that kind of love changes the world. Jesus wanted to show them the full extent of his love, just how far his love goes. So he decides to wash their feet. It was nasty, but he washes each of their feet one at a time, demonstrating this new love. And in 1 John 3:16, it says, "This is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers and sisters." Jesus willingly loved us and laid down his life for us in a way we could understand. His love isn't just a feeling, it's an action. And he's showing us over and over. So when we forget and we find it hard to love others, he says, "Look to me, remember how I have loved you." Let's listen in.
Let's have the same posture as the disciples. Let's lean into everything Jesus has for us today, over these next couple of weeks as we come into Easter. So they're preparing to share the Passover meal, the bread and the cup, and Jesus is in anguish because he loves them so much, and yet he knows one of them is gonna betray him. And he says, hey, this night, one of you is gonna betray me. And Peter, he's sitting across the table, and he motions to John, because he's sitting right beside Jesus reclining, and he says, hey, ask him who it is. And so John says, well, which one of us is it? And Jesus says, well, it's the one to whom I dip the bread in the cup and I give it to. And then he proceeds to take the bread, he dips it in the cup, and he gives it to Judas. What you may not understand is, in those days, the host of the dinner, in order to show who the honored guest at the table was, they would take the bread and dip it in the cup and give it to them first. And what Jesus was doing in that moment was the unthinkable. The most unloving person in the room, Judas, he got down on his hands and knees and humbly and lowly loved him by serving him. The most dishonorable person in the room, Jesus said, I honor you. Judas, who sold him out, who betrayed him and sent him into the worst suffering the world has ever known, and crucifixion and death, Jesus looked at him and said, I love you. You are my honored guest. But loving like Jesus, what really is that love? The Gospels have a great explanation of all the love of Jesus, but there's a good summary of it in 1 Corinthians, that this is what love is. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It's not rude. It's not self-seeking. It's not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. This is how he loved the disciples. And this is how he loves you and me. When we would just want to barrel through life on our own, make our own decisions, go our own way, Jesus is out of sight, out of mind. He is being patient with us and kind with us. When we make mistake after mistake, failure after failure, he is not getting angered. In fact, he's keeping no record of it. It's gone. That's the way that Jesus is loving us. But let me ask you a question. Look through that and just pick a word out. And let me ask you, which one of these is hard for you to do? Which one of those is hard for you to walk out in love? Here's another question. Which one of these is hard for you to receive? So we have no love to give past what we have received. The only love we can give is the love that we have received from Jesus. We don't have a loving problem, we have a receiving problem. That's why Jesus says, hey, we love because he first loved us. The key to loving others is first receiving the love of Jesus for ourselves. He's the source of our love. And so we have this prayer that we would love each other the way Jesus loves us, but within that is a prayer to receive the love of Jesus. So in case you're not aware of it today, let me just tell you, you are loved. Jesus loves you fully, completely, to the end. He loves you. You may feel separated from that love. You may not be aware of it, but he loves you in a language that you can hear. And it's not just a feeling. His love is an action. He's showing you, it's protecting you, pursuing you, providing for you, persevering for you. That's the love Jesus has for us, but are you receiving it?
The way we love each other is the primary identifier to the world about who we are. And it reminds people who God is. So Valley Creek students, what if we loved in a way that put Jesus on display? Because when Jesus is put on display, the world can't help but take notice. Let's talk about it and let's live it out together.